will not make you feel any better about the current state of America. That is where we start. We know Democrats are really good at making things up, at finding a way to fit their desires into what they perceive is the law. We saw it in New York with Alvin Bragg and Donald Trump. And we're seeing it again today right now as Dr. Anthony Fauci appears before the House Oversight Committee. And Democrats must really want to lose this upcoming election because they are moving heaven and earth to defend Dr. Fauci's stewardship of the COVID pandemic. Even though he said in a transcript released in advance of the interview that he had no idea where the 6-foot social distancing idea came from, and that he had never seen a study on the effectiveness of masking students in schools. They're defending that. It will be equally interesting to see what kind of defense Hunter Biden comes up with. He is in a Delaware courtroom today viewing jury selection processes on a federal gun violation. You are not allowed to buy a weapon if you are a drug addict. And Hunter Biden certainly was a drug addict. There will be testimony to that effect, not from a serial liar and convicted perjurer like Michael Cohen, but from Hunter Biden's ex-wife. Hunter Biden's ex-wife is going to testify against Hunter Biden. One of Hunter Biden's skanky prostitutes is going to testify against him. And even his weird, creepy, romantic liaison partner, Hallie Biden, the widow of Beau Biden, who died but not in combat, contrary to what Joe Biden keeps telling you. Even Hallie Biden is going to testify against Hunter Biden. And they also have Hunter Biden's own autobiography, in which he dates the time that he was smoking crack cocaine, if that's what you do with it, ingesting crack cocaine. I don't know. You smoke it, I think. He testifies against himself in his book. And it looks like the judge in the Hunter Biden case is not a Juan Marchand. He's not a Democratic operative. It looks like the judge in the case, who is the reason why we're even having this trial, Judge Mary Ellen Noriega, was the judge who originally said of the Hunter Biden plea deal that it would absolve him not just of the crimes, tax evasion, federal gun crimes, but all future crimes. And she's like, I've never seen a plea deal like this. Is this what I think it is? And they were like, yeah, but you weren't supposed to read it. She is the judge in this case. So we'll stand by and see what the Democrats invent. We don't have to stand by and see. We have ample evidence of what Democrats have invented in our major cities, right here in Columbus and in Akron, Ohio, over the weekend. A 27-year-old man is dead in Akron from being shot in a mass shooting on Sunday night. He was one of somewhere between 24 and 27 people who were shot at a party which had 200 people celebrating something, who knows what, start of summer, graduation, just a block party, who knows. And there are, at this point in time, no arrests. And if this proceeds like most things do in Democrat-run cities, there never will be any arrests. I looked this up. Akron has had a Democratic mayor since how far back do you think? 1984. That would be 40 years. They've had a Democratic mayor. 40 years, 4 decades. That's a generation of people in Akron, Ohio, who have been allowed to turn that city into a garbage dump. It's interesting, the Akron City Council website does not list the political affiliations of its 13 city council members. I'm going to guess that the over-under on Republican members of Akron City Council, the over-under is what you bet when, a football game, how many points do you think Ohio State will score? They always set it at 40, they set it at a half a point so that, let's say it's 42.5, the over-under. You bet the under, they score 42, you win because the over-under was 42.5. If they score 43 or more, you win. I'm going to set the over-under on the city council members in Akron who are Republican at 1.5. Because there's maybe a slight chance that Akron's a little bit different than Cincinnati or Columbus or Cleveland, whose city councils are all entirely Democratic, whose mayors are Democratic, whose cities are cesspools of Democratic dysfunction and indifference to the people who continually vote for them year after year after year, decade after decade after decade after decade in Akron, and here too. Police attended this party. They were called to this party at about 10 o'clock. They told everybody, you got to quiet down, you got to disperse. People came back to the party, and somebody drove up and started shooting. They found a ton of shell casings, 35 of them, 2 guns. They think somebody was shooting not just into the party, but people shooting back from the party. And this is where we're headed. This is where we're headed. This will be, I don't even know if this will make national news if Donald Trump wins the election in November. We will have violence like this in America's major cities in December, in November, in the first 3 weeks of January if Donald Trump is elected president. I don't say that like, oh, don't vote for Trump because, oh, the cities will burn. The cities are going to burn no matter what. It's just a matter of like soon or later. They were already burning in 2020 when the George Floyd incident happened in Minneapolis, and we've been told that was mostly peaceful, right? It was mostly peaceful until you're the one wounded. What about Columbus this weekend, Bruce? This morning I noticed, glad I left for work early this morning because 270 and all of its exits from 71 back toward Dublin were going to become an absolute standstill. Because right at 7:07 this morning, a pedestrian was struck and killed on I-71 near the Weber Road on-ramp. And they closed 71 from 270 south to Weber Road. And that was already backing up when I came through there at 7:30. We have a 1 guy dead and 3 other people in the hospital after a shooting on the city's east side, 11 o'clock Saturday night. 39-year-old Ian M. Johnson went to the hospital in critical condition but died about 11:30. So the dysfunction, the horrific nature of inner city living, not just in Ohio, but everywhere in the country, continues. And I mean, I certainly hope they find the people who are responsible for this shooting in Akron. Am I optimistic that'll happen? No, not at all. Not at all optimistic that'll happen. It's not a function of poor policing. It's a function of police not being allowed to keep the peace in cities. Thus, the criminals become more brazen. It's also a factor of economically, the inner cities in Ohio and all across the country continue to deteriorate. And when hopelessness and poverty escalates, well, desperation sets in. And if you couple that desperation with lack of consequences for actions, and you can steal things and there's no consequence for it, or you have, like we have here in Columbus, a Franklin County prosecutor's office that won't prosecute open and shut cases involving crimes as serious as murder or manslaughter, that sends a message to the perpetrators doing those crimes that I can pretty much get away with everything. And you know what else it sends a message about is it sends a message to your law enforcement officers that your job's really not that important. In fact, don't get out of your cruiser, because if you do, then you could be the next police officer who the city of Columbus decides they're going to prosecute for doing their job. That's the situation that former Franklin County Sheriff's Deputy Jason Meade is in. Hung jury in the death of Casey Goodson. We'll try him again. So this is a vicious cycle that has many tentacles, that does not produce a single good thing. And typically, our system over the years has been set up to when a political party progressively refuses to deliver on a better life or the promises that it makes, it's held accountable at the polls. But for some reason,
serving our community with state-of-the-art equipment for nearly 35 years. From oil changes to detailing to complete engine replacement, we're here to serve you to the highest levels and make you part of the family. All our repairs are backed by a 36-month, 36,000-mile warranty. Check out our mobile app for discounts and specials. Tilton's Automotive Service, in the shadow of Anheuser-Busch in Columbus and just off Creekside in Gahanna. For more info, check out tiltonsauto.com. Take it to Tilton's.
Hey everybody, Charlie Kirk here. There's no better time than right now to call our friends at PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition to start your journey to a healthier you. As I hear from all of you about how PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition has changed your lives, I know that each of us had our own reasons for starting. I started because I wanted to be leaner and clean up some of the shocking blood work results I'd gotten from my doctor. I've heard from countless people who did what I did, started the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition program. One guy I met was on 5 different medications and he was only 50 years old. He wanted off the meds, and so he started the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition program. He lost the weight he needed to lose and now only takes 1 pill a day. One mom I talked to couldn't keep up with her 2 toddlers and she was tired all the time. She realized she had to take care of herself in order to take care of her kids. There are so many reasons to start, and honestly, I can't think of even one good reason to put it off. Make 2024 your year. Call PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition today at 864-644-1900 to get started, or online at myphdweightloss.com. That is myphdweightloss.com.
it is a Monday, and so that means this afternoon I will be in the carpet store at Soft Step Carpet, just beyond Costco on the way into Plain City. Hope you stop by, and if you need carpet or flooring, LVP, vinyl plank, looks like tile, looks like wood, scratch, not just resistant, but almost scratch proof. They wouldn't send a wire brush with their displays of the LVP if they thought you could scratch it. So stop by and see me this afternoon. I'll be there from 1:30 to about 7 tonight. Or you can go to brucehooley.com and click on the flooring tab in the upper right-hand corner. What about all those brands and all those big stores that I see, Bruce? Well, we have all of them, and we can sell them to you for less because, look, our store rent is not nearly as big as those places. Love to help you out, helping out lots of friends, helping out lots of new friends. And yeah, we can talk about topics we talk about here on the show, but let's get your home outfitted and beautiful for the summertime. Enjoy it rather than do it right before you sell it so someone else can enjoy it. Hit me up, brucehooley.com, flooring tab, upper right-hand corner. Donald Trump has done his first interview. It was with Fox and Friends over the weekend in the aftermath of being convicted on all 34 felony counts. By the way, you know where the 34 felonies come from, right? He wrote 34 checks to dispense of the matter in question. And so each writing of the check, Alvin Bragg magnified into another felony. Man, what a joke this is. And it'll be overturned on appeal. And the Democrats won't care because they've accomplished two things now. Their fail-safe accomplishment was keep him off the campaign trail. And their second holy grail accomplishment was now they can keep calling him a convicted felon. And if you're angered by that, and I am angered by that, I would encourage you that maybe in the June 27th presidential debate, every time Biden refers to Trump as a convicted felon, establish some amount of money ahead of time, like a monetary Biden drinking game. Every time Biden says convicted felon, say, I'm going to donate $1 to the Trump campaign. And you can donate at winred.com. You can donate at donaldjtrump.com. You can donate at donaldtrump.com. I had a friend who told me he donated and he got a MAGA hat in return. I couldn't figure out how to do that when I donated. The Donald J. Trump site gives you the option to donate $20.24. That's pretty easy. You can do that every month. Forgo, what is that now? 2 Starbucks? 1 Big Mac meal? You can do that for Donald Trump. Here's Trump with the Fox and Friends cast on whether he is now worried about or crafting his legal defense to stay out of prison.
My tax returns, right? At the end of 5 years, they got him. The Supreme Court actually gave it to him. That was the end of it. That was it. They never found anything.
They never found anything in the tax returns. That became a big nothing burger. There's nothing here, but they magnified it into something that it was not. And you're going to continue to hear liberal commentators talk about this as if this was some heinous crime. And what you'll know is that you'll be better informed on this issue than they are. Because I listened to an argument between Dan Abrams, the legal analyst on ABC, and Megyn Kelly. And Dan Abrams says it's illegal to, let's just say Trump paid hush money to Stormy Daniels. I believe he probably did. Dan Abrams is like, you can't do that. It's a violation of federal election law. No, it is not. So there again, just like Bill Maher, just like many lefties, they believe what they want to believe, or they believe what someone else on their side of the political aisle has told them, but they don't know the facts. They don't know the facts. So you have to be someone who, in your conversations with people who think differently than you do and are planning to vote differently than you're planning to vote, you have to be the person to set them straight on the facts and encourage them to look it up for themselves. Here is Donald Trump on the fact that this was a fraught exercise for him from the very beginning, given the venue of the trial.
Tough venue. We tried to get out of the venue. We tried to get out of the judge, but we tried to get out of both. Wouldn't even think about it. So we had probably maybe the worst area in the whole country for me, in terms of vote. I'm sure if I sat down and explained it to that section of the world, we could probably make progress. But one of the worst sections, and they always bring them to these sections, DC, there, places where Republicans, not just me, Republicans get like virtually no votes.
Atlanta will be the same if Fani Willis is allowed to bring her case in Atlanta. I don't think the Jack Smith case in Florida has many legs, and the judge there is a Trump appointee. So, of course, the left will howl about how she should be recused. Hunter Biden is in a Delaware courtroom. He is he's guilty as all get out, man. This guy, a crack addict who wrote about it in his own book, who has multiple witnesses who've seen him smoke crack, bought a gun while on crack, had whoever his mistress was at the time dispose of it in a dumpster near a school. And now he's trying to finagle his way out of that. He's complaining about the federal gun form that he signed. This is rich, right? One of Hunter Biden's defenses is that it is a violation of his Second Amendment rights for the feds to come after him for purchasing a gun. The son of the Democratic president who can't say enough bad things and blames every single mass shooting on the gun, not the person who picked up the gun and fired the gun. Hunter Biden is using the Second Amendment as his defense. In his 2021 memoir, Beautiful Things, Biden claimed he was, quote, smoking crack every 15 minutes. This is at the same time he purchased the gun that is in question in this case. And so who are the people who are going to testify against him? Are they as checkered in their reliability as Michael Cohen? Well, I mean, if you marry Hunter Biden, I got to question your wisdom. But Hunter Biden's ex-wife, Kathleen Buell, is one of the people who will testify. She is supposed to be testifying that she searched Hunter's vehicles and found drugs or paraphernalia related to drugs on approximately a dozen occasions in 2018. Zoe Castan is supposed to testify that Hunter Biden smoked crack frequently every 20 minutes, except when he slept. Stuff must not have much staying power. And finally, Hallie Biden, who Joe Biden stopped by her house last week, by the way. Hallie Biden, who was the widow of Beau Biden, who coped with her grief over Beau Biden dying, but not in combat, by sleeping with Beau Biden's brother, Hunter Biden, and going on drug-addled benders with him. She is going to testify that Hunter was in Delaware the month he bought the gun, and that she discovered drug paraphernalia and drugs in his possessions on multiple occasions and observed Hunter frequently lost phones and changed phones. You know what? Laptops, too.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. Hunter Biden's trial on federal firearms charges is underway this morning in Delaware. It's with jury selection now. An illegal alien from Venezuela accused of shooting and wounding a couple of New York City police officers. When it comes to relief from rising gas prices, may not get any help from the Saudis and their oil-producing allies. They're extending deep crude production cuts. It's an historic election in Mexico. Claudia Sheinbaum becoming the country's first female president. The former Mexico City mayor ran as the governing party's presidential candidate. 24 people shot, 1 died. A mass shooting in Akron, Ohio happened yesterday morning during a birthday party. Southwest Airlines headed back to federal court hoping to reverse an $800,000 award to a flight attendant. Says she was fired for her pro-life views. On Wall Street, the Dow down 221 points. More details, srnnews.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-0141. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at tra.com or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions.
News, opinion, passion. Here, 98.9 FM, The Answer, anywhere you go. With The Answer's mobile app at 989theanswer.com. Also on your smart speakers, TuneIn, or iHeart.
Government debt is now exploding by an unprecedented $1 trillion every 90 days. Think of that. It's a clear sign that our nation's finances are spinning out of control, and it's putting the savings of every one of you at risk. Hello, I'm Lance Wallnow, a news analyst and best-selling author and an evangelical leader. I'm deeply concerned about the impact this runaway debt is going to have on Christians like you who have worked hard to build your own nest egg for your family. To protect your financial future in these uncertain times, you need to diversify with something tangible and proven, like physical gold. That's why I recommend a gold IRA. To learn more, text FAITH to the number 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold Group will rush you a free info kit on how to move your IRA or 401k to physical precious metals, tax and penalty free. So don't wait. Just text the word FAITH to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold Group is the only company I trust. There's no obligation. So text FAITH to 989898, and I pray this information helps you achieve prosperity and peace of mind.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be.
If you're a local business and want to see what Salem Surround can do for you, Google Salem Surround Columbus. Remember to Google Salem Surround Columbus today.
Even before your alarm clock goes off, he's already hit the ground, running, ready to tell you what's going on in the world you're waking up to. He's Hugh Hewitt, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 on your station for news, opinion, and passion. 98.9 FM, The Answer.
Well, I like things that make sense, particularly when it comes to my health. You know, I've been through some health situations, and there have been some treatments that I have rejected because they just didn't make sense to me, or they seemed over the top. If I tell you your body is equipped to heal itself, you might say, "Oh, I doubt that." Well, cut your finger and see what happens. Do you go to the doctor? If it's not too bad, do you get it stitched up? No, of course, you just wait for your body to heal itself. That is really what is at the heart of the QC Kinetics program. And it is a program, it is a protocol, it is several visits designed, each visit specifically to accomplish a task. If you've been told, oh, that arthritis pain in your shoulder, your neck, your hip, your back is bone on bone, may not be true. I would highly recommend you take advantage of the free consultation at QC Kinetics, where they can remove platelets from your body, re-inject them in your body after they separate out certain healing agents to each accomplish a specific purpose. How do you take advantage of this and visit their offices in Dublin or Gahanna? You call and set it up. 380-208-4544, 380-208-4544. That is 380-208-4544. Well, another one of those pesky things that we're told isn't happening just keeps on happening. You might have heard in the Salem News update that New York City cops were shot by a fleeing criminal over the weekend, and the fleeing criminal is an illegal alien. This is supposedly not happening. Remember when Laken Riley was murdered? This is not something that we need to worry about, they said. It's an exception. What was the quote from Kelly Gertz, the Athens, Georgia mayor? There's no direct connection between illegal immigration and crime. And yet we keep seeing stories out of Louisiana and out of other parts of the country is, oh, this illegal immigrant raped a 13-year-old girl, or this one shot this guy, or this one shot this guy. Now Joe Biden, because the election is coming up, is planning to do something about this. Wait a minute, Bruce. You told me that Biden couldn't do anything about this. No, I didn't tell you that. Biden kept telling you that. I've done he's a Democrat, so what is the mantra? I've done everything I can. I've done everything I can on the border. I've done everything I can to lower inflation. I've done everything I can to lower gas prices. I've done everything I can to bring a ceasefire to Gaza. I just said everything I can do, none of it works. But I'm still doing everything I can. Well, he was never doing everything he could. He was never doing anything, period, on the border, except throwing it open and allowing illegals to flood into our country and then flying them over the border on his special illegal app where people could register online to fly into America from certain countries. And oh, by the way, what a coincidence. Most of them ended up in Florida, which used to be a swing state, and which Democrats have since lost any chance of winning due to the effective governance of Ron DeSantis. Look at that. The migrants who fly into the U.S., they end up in Miami and Fort Lauderdale and a lot of other cities in Florida. Shocker, right? No, not really. Because everything that the Biden administration does is political. So, right in advance of Joe Biden flying to France, which this makes me want to throw up, for the 80th anniversary of D-Day coming up later this week on June the 6th, not the anniversary, but that Joe Biden is going to go and is going to speak for America on D-Day. It is an affront to the men who gave their lives to defend freedom, not the bastardized, phony baloney Joe Biden idea of freedom, which is I have the freedom to turn my Justice Department on people who pray outside abortion clinics, parents who go to school board meetings, people who want to protect their kids from sexual mutilation surgeries, people who don't want their girls having to look at male genitalia in locker rooms. That's Joe Biden's idea of freedom. Freedom to dismember and butcher unborn children in the womb. That's Joe Biden's idea of freedom. For him to go to Normandy or anywhere and speak about the valor, the courage that preserved the freedoms that we have until Biden came into office is just reprehensible. But as bad as that is, in advance of going, Biden is going to, according to Politico and many people who report on the White House, he's finally going to issue his long anticipated executive order. Could come as soon as tomorrow to, quote, shut down the border. Oh, great. We're going to shut down the border. What does that mean? Could you define? Because Democrats are always very, very, very purposeful in the way that they define words, right? Body autonomy, reproductive freedom, energy independence, all these, they have all these little buzzwords they throw out there. So when a Democrat, when a Biden operative says they're going to shut down the border, what does that mean? They're going to cap border crossings at 4,000 people. 4,000 people per week. 4,000 people per week. 200,000 people per year. That's a joke. That's a joke. Now, it's an improvement over 9 million people since Joe Biden took office, but it's a joke because it doesn't say that they absolutely positively will cap it. It just says that would get our attention and then we might actually have to shut the doors. You might actually have to let Border Patrol do its job. This comes at the same time as reports surfacing that the Biden administration is planning a mass amnesty for people who have already crossed the border illegally. 350,000 of them since 2022. Now, when they cross the border illegally, and I'm not talking about gotaways, I'm not talking about the people that they can't apprehend. I'm talking about the people that they stop and who register and they give them a court date. These are the people that Biden is going to give amnesty to. What does amnesty mean? It means that their cases have been terminated, that this court date that floats out there in the ether 5, 6, 7 years into the future, that they'll likely never show up for anyway, because they will have either found a way to continue to grift off the American taxpayer, or in the best case scenario, they will have built a life for themselves. Would you go back into court? I built a life for myself. I've got a job. I'm an upstanding citizen. Oh man, I got to go back to Eagle Pass, Texas and go through my immigration hearing. If there's a Democrat in the White House, you're stupid if you go back for your hearing. They're not going to come after you. Maybe if there's a Republican in the White House, then you might think, well, I don't want to turn myself into a criminal. Trump has promised to deport all these people. I hope he does. I'm skeptical that he will. But again, if he perseveres through all this lawfare, through all this effort to break him financially and politically, maybe, just maybe, that'll stiffen the spine of a guy who already has the image of someone who has a stiff spine. But Trump could have done with a Democratic Congress and a Democratic Senate, with a Republican Congress and a Republican, well, a Senate and House controlled by Republicans, the Congress, which he had when he was first elected in 2016, he could have accomplished so much more. He could have built the wall. Now, of course, he had to battle people who were fake Republicans, fake conservatives, fake Trump supporters like Mitch McConnell, who headed up the Senate. But this time, maybe the lawfare in New York, maybe the E. Jean Carroll verdict, maybe the Letitia James fraud where there were no banks defrauded. I don't know. If I'm a banker and I get defrauded, I'm not going back and doing business with the guy who defrauded me. But all those banks wanted to continue to do business with Trump. So now Biden is just canceling the immigration hearing for these 350,000 people, which will allow them to just float through the country as long as they want to. They'll never, ever have to become legal citizens of the United States. Andrew Arthur is a former immigration judge who now works for the Center for Immigration Studies. Here's his quote. "This is just a massive amnesty under the guise of prosecutorial discretion. You're basically allowing people who don't have a right to be in the United States to be here indefinitely." Folks, Joe Biden is bent on destroying the country that the D-Day veterans fought for, storming the beaches at Normandy on June 6, 1944. He is bent on destroying it. I know he thinks he's defending it. I know he thinks he's pure, but he has no moral compass. He has no honor. He has no honesty. And the people around him are even more partisan, and they are evil. Otherwise, they wouldn't be using him as a mannequin, as a ventriloquist dummy to enact their policies. If you can find $1 in your budget, and this is from a guy who was hesitant to support Trump, but he is the only alternative we have, the only realistic alternative we have in the short term to stop this.
Clouds and sun for the afternoon. High today 84, cloudy tonight, low 64. Partly sunny, warm day tomorrow. Thunderstorm in the area, the high 86. And then Wednesday, cloudy, shower and a heavy thunderstorm. We could get some flash flooding and damaging wind. The high on Wednesday near 80. Partly sunny, breezy, and a shower on Thursday. High again at 80. Clouds and sun, breezy and cooler on Friday. A shower and a high 72. I'm Steve Williams on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
Want service that's in tune with your needs? It's time to get the kitchen of your dreams. Update, upgrade, uplift with Kitchen Tune-Up. It's amazing what a cabinet refacing will do to liven up your space. In and out in just 1 week with no demo. And keep in mind,
I won't give advice to other people in terms of how they run their campaigns, but
free in-home estimate. today. Update, upgrade, uplift with kitchen tune-up.
You want your child to become all that he or she can be, but you are dissatisfied with the current public education system. At Heart of Ohio Classical Academy Dublin campus, your child will receive a top-quality classical education based on the curriculum of the Hillsdale College's K-12 program, and it's tuition-free for everyone. For more information on how to enroll your child or to register for a parent info event, visit dublinclassical.com today. That's dublinclassical.com. Heart of Ohio, tuition-free, where students learn how to think. dublinclassical.com.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk, and actual results may vary. Oil and natural gas keep going up as the Russia conflict escalates. Get in on the next major oil boom now and help the U.S. with your patriotic investment that can potentially pay you monthly income for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC accredited investor and have at least $25,000 liquid now, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects and a huge tax savings for this year. If you invest in oil and natural gas, you're allowed to write off nearly 100% of your investment in the first year. Goldman Sachs is projecting oil to go up to $100 a barrel, and natural gas is the fuel of the future and trading at record prices. Call 800-287-6691. Encore Energy is a major investor and experienced operator in its core area of operations. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call 800-287-6691. That's 800-287-6691.
The Caribbean is calling. Dennis Prager here. I invite you to join me on a Bible cruise this November in the Caribbean. Imagine 9 days of basking in the sun surrounded by the stunning beauty of a tropical paradise. We'll cruise to the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, and more while making unforgettable memories with like-minded travelers. Stroll through Curaçao's iconic pastel-colored shops and snorkel in Bonaire's world-class coral reefs. You'll enjoy some of the most delicious cuisine aboard Holland America's Rotterdam, a fantastic destination itself with riveting shows and spectacular views. This experience is more than a vacation, it's a chance to participate in profound discussions. The fresh insights I will share with you about the books of the Bible and current events should energize and challenge you. Mark your calendars, November 29th to December 8th, 2024. Learn more and secure your spot on this once-in-a-lifetime adventure by calling 855-565-5519 or booking online at PragerBibleCruise.com.
War has played a key role in the history of the United States, from the nation's founding right down to the present. Wars made the United States independent, kept it together, increased its size, and established it as a global superpower. Hi, I'm James Early, host of the Key Battles of American History podcast. In each episode, I discuss American history through the lens of the most important battles of America's wars. To start listening now, go to ParthenonPodcast.com or search Key Battles of American History on your favorite podcasting platform.
Well, we had some pretty nice weather on Saturday. I was expecting rain, and if you took advantage of it and had a great steak, I hope that it was a Riverbend Ranch steak, because if it wasn't, oh, you ate an inferior steak. That's just the truth, because Riverbend Ranch steaks have no hormones and no antibiotics, and they are graded at the 2 highest ratings by the USDA, Choice and Prime. There are like 13 different levels of grading, and you can taste the difference because those no hormones, those no antibiotics, perfect marbling, bred to exacting specifications. There's a science behind growing and processing and shipping to your front door great beef. Riverbend Ranch has it down. I can send you a long video about it if you'd like to watch it. I found it interesting. You might, but what really matters is how that steak tastes on your plate. Find out more about the bundle you can build, have shipped to your house every month or every other month at riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley, riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. Since the Trump verdict came down last week, there's been no shortage of opinions from people on both sides of the political aisle weighing in. Democrats love it. They gloat over it. They can't wait to have their convicted felon parties. And I noticed the Columbus Dispatch was balanced as always on their editorial page. 4 letters from readers. Maybe this is a commentary on how many readers they don't have. All 4 critical of Trump. Not a single one critical of Alvin Bragg, critical of Juan Marchand, the judge, critical of the nebulous jury instructions, the fact that Trump couldn't call the witnesses he wanted to call. All four critical of Trump. Well, that's okay, Bruce, because then they also ran another story with 6 editorial cartoons about Donald Trump and his conviction in New York City on 34 felony counts. And all but one of them mocked Trump. The other one was kind of sorted down the middle, more of a commentary on where we are in America. Which side of the Trump got screwed, Trump's guilty as sin argument do you think Ohio's pocket governor Mike DeWine is on? Well, we don't know, do we? Because Governor Squish, our invisible little governor, has not said a word about it. Now, this is interesting because back when Bill Clinton was in a tight spot with Monica Lewinsky as his White House intern, and then made a plea deal to get around it and not have to go on trial for clearly lying about that affair. Here was what Mike DeWine said then. It's good to have this behind us. By the way, DeWine was serving as a U.S. senator at the time. There was nothing to be gained by seeing the ex-president on trial and having this drag on for months or maybe years. Let me read that again. There was nothing to be gained by seeing the ex-president on trial. If there was nothing to be gained from Bill Clinton not being placed on trial in 2001, couldn't little man Mike have given us at least that much on this? There's nothing to be gained from this. No, he can't. So it is left to others who are actually conservative, who are actually Republicans, to defend the president and point out the absurdity of all of this. But Mike DeWine's not alone. Larry Hogan doing everything he can. He's kind of a Democrat, so he's borrowing from their approach to everything. Larry Hogan, the former governor of Maryland, now running for senator, and everybody thought, well, Maryland's a pickup because Larry Hogan's very popular in Maryland, and Larry Hogan will win the Senate race, and that'll help the Republicans take back the Senate. I'm not so sure. Larry Hogan wins the Senate race in Maryland now because Larry Hogan responded to the Trump verdict by saying that everyone needed to respect the verdict. Respect the verdict. I respect a verdict that is fair, that the jury is not partisan. I didn't respect the OJ verdict. By the way, this is the question that all Republicans are going to be asked. What was the question that they were all asked, everybody in public office? What were they asked in the aftermath of the 2020 election as Joe Biden took office? Do you accept the results of the 2020 election? Do you share the president's view that it was rigged, that it was messed with, that it was unfair? That was the question, right? So now it's going to be, do you accept the verdict? Do you accept that the verdict was judiciously rendered? How can, or the other question will be, how can you support a convicted felon? Right? Those are the questions that are coming. Thankfully, we have bright young minds on the Republican side of the aisle, like J.D. Vance, like Josh Hawley, like Tom Cotton, many, many others who can articulate these matters and hold people accountable for their stupidity. Here's Josh Hawley on Larry Hogan. He might as well have been talking about Mike DeWine, people who are Republicans who have positions of influence and who refuse to take a courageous stand, a principled stand on this matter.
That have absolutely no basis in the law. Forget even getting to the facts in the law. I mean, what Bragg tried to do here bootstrapping some state court requirements, state law requirements, and then linking them to federal campaign election donation requirements and reporting requirements is absurd. It's totally absurd. And the proof of that is nobody's ever been charged with this before. Then you had the star witness for the prosecution, who is a convicted perjurer and who lied again on the stand and admitted that he did. Oh, yeah, that wasn't what I said earlier in my testimony. We need to be clear about this. You look at Biden's campaign, they are out there celebrating this. They did campaign events at the trial. This is an attempt to use our legal system to hijack our election system. That's like what a third world country does. It's never happened before in this country. We need to be honest about that and say that this is a dangerous moment for America.
It is. I'm just not as sure. I'm not as positive or as optimistic that the anger over this, which is clearly motivated Republicans. I mean, the Trump fundraising 24 hours after the verdict, in that 24-hour period, he raised $53 million. I told you Friday morning it was $35 million, but that wasn't up to the 24-hour mark. It continued throughout the day. He got to $53 million in one day. More than double what the Democrats raised in the 24 hours after the overturn of Roe versus Wade. He's raised $70 million in the last 72 hours. I donated this morning. Hopefully you will too. You can go to donaldjtrump.com, winred.com, donaldtrump.com. They make it really easy for you. You can donate $20.24 for the 2024 election. I've heard people say they're going to donate $177.60, $17.76. Let your conscience be your guide on that. I've never donated to anyone's political campaign before, ever. Why am I donating to this one? Because I'm an ardent Trump supporter. I don't own a MAGA hat. I'm donating because things like equal justice under the law, freedom of speech, the right to face your accuser, men are women, men are men and can't be women. All these things that the Biden administration wants to turn its back on, wants to use against its political opponents, are characteristics of a country I don't want to grow up in. I don't want my kids to grow up in. I'm already grown. I don't want my kids to grow up in that country. I don't want my grandkids to grow up in that country. And so this is a transformative time in our country. We're going to get to pick what kind of country do we want to be. As I said Friday, as I'll stress again here, God is in control of this entire process. And we'll see whether he wants to give America another chance or not.
I'm not here to do that. Tax relief advocates
All right.
are different. TRA is here to tell you that if you...
The second hour of the show shifts to the Bruce Hooley Show Facebook page, the 989 The Answer Facebook page. And that's where we are. I'm a little lack of energy today, finishing up a treatment period. So promise I'll have a little more energy tomorrow if this proceeds like the other 3 rounds have. All right. Everybody have a great day. Talk to you soon.